Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lightworkers Secret to Success. We've taken a little bit of time off in the last little bit. Just been so much stuff going on that we've all been super, super busy. And, we did a really, really good interview with Tom Hayes a few weeks ago, it was now, or a week ago, maybe a week or two ago.
Two
And I got
weeks
to tell you,
two.
yeah, 2 weeks ago, it was so empowering. If you haven't watched it yet, definitely check us out on YouTube and watch that video. He's just such a ball of light. So definitely check that out. But what we're really talking about today is tips on how to cope with negative 3D people. And, for me, there's been a lot of things that have been going on lately, like in the news, a lot about the vaccines and stuff that's been going on, a lot of stuff about Biden and the wall and what's going on the southern border and hiking the tax and all this sorts of stuff. And you just get so much negativity sort of blasted at you. Now, the election is, they're doing a recount on it, and is Trump going to be in or not going to be in? And you've just got all these things, just like, these massive energy walls that are just crashing and just, it's a huge turbulent time. And so we thought that we would just do a video on, how to cope with all that and how to deal with all that. And, what are some of the things that you can do? And I mean, some of the stuff is pretty obvious where, for me, it's a lot of meditation. I listen to just vibrations now. I don't have any other music, just really, really low vibrations that go from the alpha to the theta to the delta waves. And I've been just vibrating like crazy when I'm in that state. I've got my earphones on and I'm just completely plugged in. As soon as I'm done doing that, and I don't have a time frame on it, but I immediately turn off my headphones and then I go into a lucid dream state, and I seem to be getting really, really deep lucid dreams where it almost feels like I don't want to even come out of it. Like when my physical body is trying to wake up, it's like struggling, and my spiritual body is saying, no, we need to stay here. We don't. And so I really, really struggle getting out of that dream state, but because it feels so good, that's why. So that's one tip that I can offer is, if you're feeling like you've got this weight of the world on your shoulders, change up your meditation, try different things, listen to different recordings on YouTube if you want. Just do something different. And typically when you do that, it changes things up. I think of yoga a lot, and I know, Colette, you kind of made my eyes open to this, which is, the surrender pose and what it means and why it's there. And by surrendering, what you're actually doing is you're just letting go. You're letting go of that energy that's holding on to you and like strangling you almost. And when you're able to do that, it's such a freeing thing, to get away from these negative 3D people that are in your lives. And the more that you do that, the more that they're just going to be repelled from your life. So that's the one tip that I can really offer. I know it's pretty basic, but it might refresh some things and it might help you sort of get through these mucky waters. Amanda, why don't you go next? I know you've got some pretty heavy stuff going on, and I'm not sure on how much you're willing to share, but I mean, you just got so much going on all at once that it's quite remarkable that, how you're able to navigate through it. And you're really a hero of mine for how you do these things, because it's very remarkable.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I know we talked a little earlier today, and I just said it's just my life. I don't know how to change it. I try to keep upbeat and positive and always look for the bright side of things. But just in the last month, I've had a medical emergency with my daughter where she lost her life and was brought back. I had to move out of my apartment that I lived in for 2 years. And so now We're currently staying in a hotel and looking for housing. We've had two houses, like not work out for us when we thought we were going to move in, like literally thought we were moving in. I'm working on the third right now. And my son had a medical emergency 2 weeks ago during our interview with Tom Hayes, and I felt so bad that I had to step off, but he was found non-responsive because his kidneys shut down and had complete renal failure. So he's been in ICU off and on since then. And trying to navigate the medical, the hospital, the medical field right now due to COVID. And, I feel like I'm a little bit in the twilight zone. And I think maybe other people feel like that too. Like you're not in control, you're in the twilight zone, dealing with people in the 3D. I'm usually mostly in the 5D. And so I feel like I'm in the twilight zone because it's just like we don't see eye to eye on things. And so trying to manage that has been a little bit challenging for me. I'm a caregiver in real life, and I've spent lots and lots of man hours at hospitals supporting my clients, and so I've always been an advocate. And so having my own child in there is hard not to be able to advocate because they're not listening. They won't let you through to them. I mean, it's really, really challenging, very, very challenging. So I've been breathing literally, because when we go through things, sometimes you forget to breathe. You just forget. You're shallow breathing, and sometimes you just have to stop and do cycle breathing or whatever. So one of my favorite things to do is, you take in a breath, inhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, exhale 4 seconds, and then hold 4 seconds. And just doing that, even for a minute, can just totally take you out of that fight or flight and bring you back into parasympathetic. I also just guided meditation. I feel like I'm also going through a process. Every day I'm cleansing, you guys. Every day I'm healing from so many different things. And there's so many things that are coming at me like so fast that sometimes I feel like it just can't keep up. And so it tends to be a little bit, well, I don't want to say exciting because I don't want to invite anything else. I have to be really careful with what I say. But I've been taking hot baths. I mean, seriously, that's my self-care, my self-love. Like I get in there and I just relax. That's where I'm charged. Just relaxing. Usually I'll put on like a guided meditation while I'm in the bathtub and just relax and just, I get lots of downloads when I'm in water. I'm a water sign, I'm a Cancer. So water is like just really important to my existence and to keep me sane. And not only have I been going through things, but I'm telling you, people around me, every single person I know around me have been going through so much. And I'm the go-to person. And it's not just little stuff, guys. This is like major, major like trauma. So if you are one of those kind of people where everybody comes to you, make sure you're taking care of yourself first. Pamela reminded us of that today. Like, don't forget, like, fill yourself up. Yesterday in my roundtable, guys, I did this really cool thing where we're all kind of going through the same thing, but not really realizing that we're all going through the same thing. So I just kind of made everybody aware. And I did a guided meditation, well, not a meditation, more of like a visualization for all of us where we all stood in a circle and we put all the stuff we didn't like in this pond, and we were just like throwing all this stuff in there. And then I was like, okay, it's gonna become a whirlpool. It's taking all our problems away. So like became a whirlpool. Then the waters got really, really gentle again. And then we threw in like unconditional love and gratitude and thankfulness and just a bunch of, good positive things, high vibrations. And then we all took our water cups and was like drinking from the pond together. And I was like, hey guys, I don't know about you, but I really need a lot of water. So in my head, as I'm visualizing, I'm like, I'm just drinking and gulping and gulping. I'm like, I really have to like, that's why water is so essential for me, and it was really good and everybody really enjoyed that. And I never know what I'm going to do with my roundtables, but there's always like divine energy show up and it's always right on time. So maybe just picture yourself. Oh, the other thing too, guys, is you can write numbers on your water. You can write intentions on your water. You can talk to your water, change the frequency, and then drink it. That's another really good thing. And my other thing is I don't watch TV. I like don't have time for it. Like seriously, it's too much. You know what I've been watching is the Golden Girls, because we're at the hotel. I don't have my Netflix or my Hulu, so we're like, well, Golden Girls it is, which makes me laugh. And I think when you're going through something like this, laughter is the best medicine. And I love that show. So, but try not to watch the news. I know we've talked about this like so many times, like turn off the TV, turn off the news, because you know, your eyes are, you know, what do they say? Your eyes are the
windows
guys
of
help
your
me out.
soul.
Yeah, window. Thank you. My gosh. Thank you. I'm like soul something. Yeah, windows of your soul. So when you're seeing some of these things, your subconscious doesn't know if it's real or not real. And so it's kind of like, you know, you're absorbing it. Anyways, when you're watching the news, they actually throw psychic darts at you. And so you have to be really careful with that too. So I'm very, very careful with what I listen to and what I watch and who I listen to. If they're not positive and high vibrational, I just don't have time for it. So there's been I haven't been on Facebook lately because I feel like right now it's so triggering for me. So I might just check in, like if I post something, I might like, oh, did anyone comment on that? But I'm not like doing a lot of like scrolling like I used to do. I just don't have any desire to do that anymore. And that was just natural for me to kind of come away from that. So if you're finding yourself needing to take a break from social media or just, you know, taking phone calls, text messages, I would just say give yourself grace and mercy to do that. So I think I'm sure there's a lot more that it happened in my life in the last month. There's just like there's been lots of tragedies. So it's been very, very sad and very overwhelming. And my kids have been affected by it too. So I'll let other people share since I could go on forever and ever.
I know you only shared a little bit, and
I sure did.
Thank you for sharing and for pouring your heart out and some really good tips and some good reminders. Rebecca, how about you go next? I know you've had some pretty difficult challenges the last month and a bit go on as well.
Yeah, I have too. And I commend you, Amanda, for being so centered in the things you go through, because you really are like, I'm sure you're like the rock for a lot of people in your life. Because what I'm seeing, you know, my mother passed away on March 15th, but she was 95 years old and ready to pass away. So she died in peace, and that was a positive aspect of it. But there has been a certain amount of turmoil now that there's four of us that are settling her estate. We're selling her house. We're taking possessions. And we had a really good day, you know, dividing up what she had in the house. And we had a lot of fun with it. But today we had a big argument after the realtor left. And it wasn't about the house or anything. It was just, I find there's a lot of, I think what's going on now with people that are in relationships and have been for a long time, like siblings, parents, children, whatever, karmic stuff is coming up that needs to be looked at, because you can't carry around all kinds of stuff in your subconscious mind about people without ultimately having little explosions here and there, because it's still there. So I think a lot of people are dealing with that right now. And then on top of that, you put this, did you get a vaccine or you don't have a vaccination? And these two groups, not only are they forming politically now, but they're forming whether or not you want to hang out with each other. Because, you know, there's so much talk about, well, you're going to pollute me or you're not going to, it's crazy. There's just layer upon layer of this confusion. So what I did this week, I went really deeply into my spiritual sense of things and said to myself, I am a law unto myself. And because of that, I'm sovereign, I'm connected to the divine, And no matter what is happening around me, if I really want good outcomes, I need to see that God is in everyone's consciousness that I have to come in contact with. And they may not necessarily act the way I want them to, that I'm wishing they would, but it will have an impact. It will have an impact. Sometimes it stirs them up pretty radically. I mean, that's why Jesus had to get kind of crazy when he was in the where they were changing money in the church. You know, he wasn't always Mr. Nice Guy either. Because you got to stand up for yourself. And if people are being really rude and abusive to you, you have to know when to walk away. It's not good to argue usually with a crazy person. You know, I was listening to this psychologist I like to listen to, and he gives a lot of good YouTube videos. And his brother's a psychologist, and they had a conversation about, well, how many really balanced, psychologically balanced people do you think are on the planet? And they came up with, well, probably only about 20%. Because most people are cuckoo in one way or another, right? Because they haven't had a spiritual awakening or freed themselves from all kinds of negative thoughts that creep in. And I mean, you got to really work on yourself. It's a lot of work if you really want to free yourself from the negative emotions, but it is possible. And one of the things in these crazy times that I keep reminding myself of too is, you know, you've always had miracles happen up to this point in your life. You know, you found the place to live, you found what you needed, things showed up when they were supposed to. So why give up now? It'll just keep going and flowing. And it, even though it's much more challenging now, because there's so much of this 3D confusion going on, but that's really just a movie we're watching, and we can break free of it and once again claim our power. And that's what I think, that's why they're calling it the Great Awakening. And that's why we have to be cognizant of it and work at it all the time. And I love all the tips you're giving about, you know, turn off the TV, listen to positive things, keep your vibration high, and join groups like Global Strong, where you can be with positive, like-minded people that are supportive. You know, the thing about Global Strong family is we can have conversations about anything. Now, when I bring up certain subjects with my 3D friends, they can get very offended or argumentative, or, you know, they can't have a conversation about it. They just want one way, you know, their way. Where if you're with people that are living more in the higher realms of consciousness, they're open to discussion. And that's important in these times. I think we need more open discussions about how we can all get along better. And because there's a new world forming and we're moving in that direction. So that's what I have to say.
Cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Colette, you want to go next?
Okay. So I'm Colette. I know it's been a while, so glad to be back. So for me, dealing with difficult people, the way I look at it is pretty much we're all traumatized. And I mean, whether it's just, you know, abandonment, maybe like loneliness, the triggers with, like you guys were saying, the masks and the vaccines, and people like really are in this fight or flight mode and really just doing the best that they can, honestly. So for me, it's really about allowance and just allowing people to be where they are. Just because someone's having a fit or angry or even maybe yelling at me, it's like, okay, well, interesting. And how can I have allowance for this? And maybe that's asking questions to get more clarity. Like, how are you feeling right now? What's going on? Because like Amanda said, everyone's just going through some stuff, you know? And I mean, financial issues, you know, health issues. It's like we're all just trying to survive right now for the most part. And so it's like just having that compassion and then allowance for where people are is what I do, generally speaking, and just really empathy, understanding, and curiosity. I don't try to be right. I don't really need to be right. I have my own opinions and feelings and thoughts, and I don't need anyone else to have them. I don't need somebody else to agree with me. I don't need someone else to understand me, really, although it's nice. But I'm okay. Like, I've done so much inner work, and I've done so much releasing. That doesn't mean my stuff doesn't come up, because it sure does. I'm here too in this reality. And even though I'm generally doing things to lift my vibration, like Adam talked about, I still feel everything. I still feel all of the things happening, how people are feeling. And so, yeah, and just being okay with all of that, not making myself wrong for my feelings or making anyone else wrong for how they're feeling with everything going on. So I guess those are my main tips and ideas and what I do, and short and sweet. So I'll pass it on to Pamela.
Cool. Thanks, Colette. Go ahead, Pamela.
I think, well, kind of like, I mean, we're all dealing with the same things in different varieties, right? And for me, the one thing that it's a constant action, is I remind myself I have a choice. So, like, for example, this weekend we went into San Antonio, and I wanted to stop in the IKEA store because in Texas it's a no mask required anymore. And even on the outside of the store, it said it was recommended, but it wasn't required. And we got inside there, and it's like, oh, you have to have a mask on. And, my heart, he's like, well, according to the governor, we don't. He's like, well, we're private property. You have to. Like, okay, that's fine. We just choose not to shop here today then. And we walked out, and the guy's like, but, and it's like, no, because he'd already said, so you can't tell me we have to have masks on, and then we tell you we're not going to shop. So it was that taking that power and keeping it for myself, right? Where I'm not being, mandated by someone else's fear or whatever, And so it's a choice. It's a choice to decide. And in fact, I was telling Rebecca this morning, I was really excited because I followed different groups on Telegram, and I know London was one, Sweden was one. There was 2 or 3 other countries this weekend that had protests where they had thousands of people without masks on. And it was really interesting because I had just, like, my heart and I were talking when we were coming back, the drive back, about how if people start standing up and stop living in fear, make that choice, how things will shift. And then I get home I think I take Sunday night, like Sunday nights when I saw it. And it was like, yes, because it's a choice. We have the choice of whether or not we're going to live in fear or not. And so sometimes, I mean, I'm listening to the same thing. I'm listening to the vibrational recordings. I'm doing the time meditating. I'm, choosing what I allow in my body, and that includes what I'm listening to, what I'm watching, what I'm reading, what we're feeding our bodies, our souls, our energy. But it's just that reminding, and because honestly, sometimes, especially like as a light worker and as an empath, everybody else's energy, feelings, fear can get overwhelming. So it's just about being able to just kind of reconnect with source energy, reconnect with my own inner, and just, remind myself sometimes, because sometimes it gets overwhelming, especially if we're around, like, his family is very much, I mean, his mom's wearing 2 masks. So it's that extreme, right? So just having to remind myself, and we've talked to people who are, pro this and some who aren't. And so I've just kind of said, I honor your right to choose. Because it's not about arguing with them. It's not about convincing people, because everybody has their own path. If they ask questions, I have no problem answering, but I'm not here to convince anymore. It's like, this is how my thought is, and I honor your right to choose what's best for you. And I do encourage them to, at least do some research. Don't just listen to mainstream media, but do the research. But again, it's still their choice. And so that's been what's been helping me the last couple of weeks. Because I remember I even texted Adam a couple of weekends ago that I was like, it was like so frustrating because we were in town with his family and they were all doing the mask thing. And, I mean, it was actually back in March for his birthday. We went to a restaurant and they're all sitting there in the restaurant with their mask on. And I'm like, we're at the table, we're fixing to eat. You can take your mask off. Oh no, I'm protecting my health. And I'm like, and how are you going to eat with your mask on? It was that to me, which is a common sense thing, but it just, the fear was so palatable, right? And so it's just interesting to, if you step back and observe and don't engage in the fear, don't get engaged in because you're going to have those people like Rebecca said who want to pick sides, and they want to convince you that they want to talk to the politics and convince you why you're right or they're wrong. They're right, you're wrong. If you don't engage, it takes two to argue, right? It takes two to fight. So I don't engage. I choose not to. Um, and that kind of helps me maintain for my own personal level of peace. And then I do a lot of like just the Ho'oponopono and just like a lot of just different tools and techniques. Just like, okay, because occasionally somebody will do something and it's like we were somewhere today and this little kid. I mean, they weren't even walking and the parent had a mask on them, and I'm like, oh, that breaks my heart. It hurts my heart to see that. But again, it's the parent's choice. It's their right to choose what they're doing for the child. So I just send unconditional love. So that's kind of how I'm doing it. I'm just doing what I can do for me, sending unconditional love for the planet, for healing. And then, it's kind of like anything. When you send unconditional love, it goes to their highest self. And then it's up to them whether or not they choose to accept it. And I really believe that each of us made a choice when we came into this planet in this lifetime. And we don't know what choices they made. So it's just a matter of like, okay, I'm responsible for me and my choices, and I'm responsible for how I react to other people. And that's how I just kind of I keep that balance for myself, that third party perspective, and try not gonna say I'm 100% because there are times when I just like seriously, but I just kind of pull myself back in and just remind myself that I'm working for my highest self and I can send unconditional love and let them make their choices.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing some good insights. I hope you guys got some really, really good tips. Some good reminders from each and every one of you that, I mean, I need to obviously, look at myself. One thing I heard you saying, but I didn't hear you saying the words, is judging people, right? Is when you start judging other people for their decisions, it really lowers your vibration. So be very, very aware of how you're viewing someone, because I always say if you're going to judge someone, you need to at least walk 1 year in their shoes, exactly what they're experiencing and how they're feeling, before you can judge them for what they're doing, regardless on who they are, where they are, what they've done, what they're doing. Good reminder. Thanks for that reminder, Pamela. And I hope that you liked this video. Hope it reminded you of some things, or I hope that you can use some of these things personally in your life. And if you are experiencing any of these, how to cope with these 3D people, these negative people that might be in your life, just a little bit, if just helps you just a little bit, I hope that you can give us a thumbs up and like the video. If you found it good and you want to share it with someone, please feel free to share it. And if you're not subscribed to our channel and you'd like to, we'd really appreciate that. And we're just trying to get the word out. We're trying to raise the vibration. We're literally trying to magnetize light workers together and really light the planet up with light, and get rid of all this darkness and heavy energy that's here. And whether you believe it or not, it's coming, and nothing can stop what's coming now. And I hope that you're a part of this light wave that's coming, because it is going to be a massive tsunami of lightness that's coming. And personally, I'm excited for it. Personally, I feel that this is going to be the next, this is going to literally be heaven on earth. You know, I think we've been experiencing hell, living hell that we've been going through. And it's just going to change. It's exciting times. And, you know, for those of you who are awake and know what I'm talking about, the time is close. And if you're ready, you'll be ready and you'll ascend into the fifth dimension. Thank you everyone for your time, your energy, your positiveness. We hope to see you soon. Comment below, let us know how we're doing. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas whatsoever, if you'd like to be on our channel and be interviewed by us, please reach out and comment, and we will get right back to you and we'll set something up. Thanks everyone. Bye.